Welcome back to the Deep Seek Diaries. Great to have you with us again. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into something pretty profound, actually. The power of the spoken word.
Yeah, it sounds simple, maybe, but the implications are huge.
Exactly. It's an idea that's ancient but feels incredibly relevant right now. And our main source for this exploration is a real classic, The Power of the Spoken Word, Teachings of Florence Scovel Shinn. Now, this book, it's not just some old text. It's foundational, really, for a lot of personal transformation thinking. So our mission today is to, unpack its core ideas, see why it still resonates so much. We'll look at what readers are saying and, crucially, figure out how you can actually use these teachings today.
And Florence Scovel Shinn herself, it's worth knowing a bit about her. She was writing, teaching back in the early 20th century.
Right, a long time ago.
Yeah, and her ideas were quite pioneering for the time. She really laid some groundwork for people like Louise Hay, many others in that sort of self-help personal growth space.
Interesting.
And the book itself, this edition, is actually a 2016 reprint of a 1959 collection of her work. That tells you something, doesn't it?
It really does. Shows how timeless the message is.
Exactly. It's not just history, it's living wisdom.
Okay, so let's unpack this central idea, because Shinn's main point, it's quite striking. She basically says that our words, what we say out loud, and also, our inner thoughts, they literally have the power to change our lives, fundamentally.
It's not just positive thinking like, oh, be happy.
No.
It's deeper. It's this idea that our words, our thoughts, are actual creative forces. They shape our reality.
Conscious creation. That's a powerful concept.
It is, and she framed it back then in terms of spiritual law. She said, positive attitudes and affirmations invariably succeed in making one a winner in life.
A winner in life.
Able to control life's conditions
Yeah.
and release abundance through the knowledge of spiritual law.
Okay, spiritual law. What does she mean by that exactly? Is it religious?
Well, not necessarily in a strict dogma sense.
Yeah.
She saw it more as universal principles, like attracts like, energy follows thought, that kind of thing. So the idea is that your non-physical words, your intentions, they actually start to, solidify. They become your physical reality.
Wow.
And you see this reflected in the Amazon reviews, actually. Someone noted, non-physical words become physical realms of who we are.
That really captures it. Non-physical words become physical realms.
It highlights that direct link she's talking about. Inner world shaping the outer world.
It's almost like, one reviewer used this analogy. Our words are like a magic wand.
Ah, yes.
Or abracadabra or hocus pocus. It's not just fantasy stuff. It's the words we use every day, casting spells, so to speak, on our own lives.
That's a great image, isn't it? It really emphasizes the active role of speech.
It does. But, a magic wand sounds easy, instant. Is that what she suggests? Because life, it often doesn't feel that simple.
That's a really good point. And no, Shinn is quite practical about it. The magic wand analogy is about the power, but she definitely stresses it takes discipline, responsibility.
Right.
It's not just wishing once. It's about consistent alignment, aligning your thoughts, your words, your beliefs. It requires conscious effort, diligence, really.
Right. It's not passive.
Not at all. The book goes into the how, not just the what's.
Before we go on, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video. This podcast is known as the Deep Seek Diaries, and you can find us on the major social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Linked in the description section are all the resources and discussion today, including books, websites, and so on. Please go through our terms and conditions as soon as you can. Must sit back and enjoy the podcast. Okay, so let's get into that how, the practical wisdom. Because Shinn doesn't just leave it at words are powerful. She gives a framework. You can see it in the chapter titles. Things like fearlessness, peace and prosperity, victory and fulfillment.
Exactly. Those aren't just concepts. They're areas of life where you can apply these principles.
So how does she suggest we do that? What's the core practice?
Well, a huge part of it is cultivating what she calls absolute fearless faith in God.
Okay.
And an awareness of the infinite power at our disposal when linked with God within. Now, again, God here feels less about organized religion and more about tapping into a universal inner power, a deep trust.
An inner source.
Right.
Yes.
And flowing from that faith is the practical step. Choosing your words carefully and making powerful affirmations to create your heart's desires. Affirmations.
We hear that word a lot today.
We do. And Shinn provides examples, but encourages you to craft your own. The key is the shift in focus. So instead of say, I hope I don't get sick, you affirm, I am vibrant health.
Stating the positive is already real.
Precisely. It's a conscious, deliberate rewiring of your language and thought patterns. And what's really fascinating, especially for her time, is her focus on the subconscious mind.
Right, the subconscious.
She understood that it's our deep-seated beliefs, the stuff we're often not even aware of, that really runs the show. The book puts it like this. What we say, conscious and subconscious words and thoughts, do conscious and subconscious acts, and believe, subconscious thinking, reinforces our subconscious mind.
Say, do, and believe, all reinforcing the subconscious.
Exactly. And the goal, the real work, is getting all those aligned. Synchronization. Perfect harmony, she calls it.
Harmony between what you say consciously and what you truly believe subconsciously.
Well, you do, yes.
Yeah.
It's about congruence.
Yeah.
Making sure your inner world isn't fighting your outer declarations.
That makes sense. It's deeper than just chanting phrases.
It's deeper.
And there's a warning, too, isn't there? Something echoed in the reviews.
Yes, absolutely. Be careful what you wish for.
Okay. Why the warning?
Because this power, this creative force of words and thoughts, it works based on the underlying energy and intention. So if your desires come from a place of, say, jealousy or resentment or lack, you might manifest something, but it could be twisted. It could reflect that negative root.
Can you give an example?
The book mentions thinking with jealousy. If that's your dominant thought pattern around relationships, for instance, you might attract situations filled with jealousy. Or you might become more jealous yourself.
So the magic wand reflects your true inner state, not just the surface words.
Exactly. It demands integrity, really. Authenticity in your desires.
That adds a whole other layer of responsibility.
It really does.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly and talk about what readers think. Because the reaction to this book on Amazon, it's pretty impressive.
It really is.
We're talking 4.7 out of 5 stars globally, over 1,500 ratings, and get this, 81% are 5-star reviews.
Wow, 81% 5-star. That's huge. That tells you it's hitting home for a lot of people.
Definitely. So what are the main things people are saying in those reviews? What themes pop up?
Well, 3 big themes stand out consistently. First, people find it incredibly enlightening and inspiring. You see comments like, true eye-openers, people praising the great spiritual insight and wisdom. Some call it a refreshing common-sense look at Christian thinking, which is interesting, suggesting it bridges that gap for some.
So it provides clarity, insight.
Yes. And second, maybe the most powerful theme, is the life-changing impact.
So it's not just interesting, it actually does something for people.
That's what they report. Comments like, it helped them change their way of life, had a real impact on my way of thinking, even will change your life forever.
Change your life forever. That's a strong claim.
It is. And you see this call to action. Like one reviewer said, read it, speak it, live it. It implies it's a philosophy to embody, not just read.
Read it, speak it, live it. I like that.
And the third major theme is its accessibility. Despite the deep concepts, people consistently say it's well-written and easy to read.
That's important.
Very. They say it explains things in plain, simple language, without complex jargon. And that makes it, as one review put it, suitable for all faiths.
So it manages to be profound, yet simple and universal. That's quite a feat.
It really is. It makes these powerful ideas accessible to almost anyone.
Yeah, were there any criticisms? I mean, 81% is high, but not 100%?
True. The critiques are pretty minor, actually. A few people mentioned the language style feels a bit dated, from the 1920s.
Understandable.
And maybe 1 or 2 felt it didn't offer much new material if they'd already read a lot in the genre.
Okay, fair enough.
But honestly, these are vastly outweighed by the positive feedback. And you could argue that simplicity, that lack of newness, is actually its strength.
How so?
Because it's distilling fundamental truths. It cuts through the jargon and complexity you find elsewhere. It's clear, potent, and that's why it endures.
Right. It gets to the core. It cuts through the noise. I hope you are enjoying the topic so far. Please subscribe to the Deep Seek Diaries and like this video. Don't forget, you can find us on the major social media platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Linked in the description section are all the resources in discussion today, including books, websites, and so on.
So we boil this all down for the listener. What are the actionable takeaways? What are the mental shifts Shinn is really advocating for?
Yeah, let's summarize that.
Okay, first, conscious word choice. Really start paying attention. Notice what you say, what you think. Recognize that power. It's about being intentional.
Intentionality. Got it.
Second, positive affirmations. Use them regularly. Craft statements that reflect what you want, stated in the present tense with feeling.
Like the I am vibrant health example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Third, cultivating fearless faith. Develop that deep trust in your inner power, that connection to, well, whatever you conceive as a higher source. That faith fuels the words.
Okay, faith as the foundation.
And fourth, mind-body-spirit alignment. This is the ongoing work, striving to sync your conscious words, your subconscious beliefs, and your actual actions, aiming for that perfect harmony.
Words, beliefs, actions, all in sync.
That's the goal. It's a practice, not a one-off fix.
So thinking about today, how does this 1920s wisdom really land now? What's its relevance for us?
I think it's incredibly relevant. We live in a world saturated with words, social media, news, constant communication.
True.
Understand the power of our own words gives us agency. We talk about things like verbal abuse, the impact of negative online environments.
Yeah.
Shinn's work gives you a framework not just for defense against negativity, but for proactive creation, for shaping your own experience despite the noise.
So it's about taking back control in a way, reclaiming your creative power through language.
Exactly. It empowers you. So to kind of wrap up our exploration here, Florence Scovel Shinn's The Power of the Spoken Word, it really does seem to transcend its time.
It definitely feels that way.
It offers these foundational insights into mastering yourself, mastering your life through understanding language and thought. And I think its genius really lies in its simplicity.
Making profound spiritual laws accessible.
Precisely. A masterclass in the unseen forces that shape our reality, presented in a way anyone can grasp and apply.
It's been fascinating digging into this, and it leaves me with a thought, maybe for you, the listener, to mull over after this deep dive. How might just consciously observing, paying attention to your very next words, the ones you speak or even just think, how might that start to reveal the magic wand that Shinn says you already hold?
That's a powerful question to sit with.
What could you start to create just by being aware? I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Deep Seek Diaries. Please don't forget to check out the linked resources in the description section. Hit the subscribe and like buttons as you head off if you haven't already. Until the next episode, goodbye.